All right, let's get this mother sucker started. Kevin Donnie here, and you have been pulled into the black dimension, and we're here to do our review and discuss on Peacemaker, possibly the best show on television, streaming, in the present day. And this has definitely been a W for the DCEU, seeing that the DCEU, the Detective Comics Extended Universe, hasn't done very well as far as their live action media. But this one right here was definitely a winner in my book. So, what's going on, Donnie?
Man, what's going on? Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this. This is, in my opinion, revitalized the whole DCEU. You're not going to get anything better on than James Gunn and Zack Snyder doing some shit for the DCU. Just period, point blank. You have a lot of directors, you have a lot of chiefs, I guess per se, but the two motherfuckers who are really doing it, James Gunn and Zack Snyder. So to see Zack Snyder put out a TV show, which is being picked up for a second season, and it do so successful, and he spun it from the franchise of Suicide Squad, where the first one largely failed, the second one did a great job. I think it was great. It was wonderful to see. It's the best shit on TV. It was for adults. It piqued all my comic book nerdiness, and it reached out to my inner adult or my inner child
And I will
as
say
an
this,
adult.
and I will say this. After watching this, it's pretty safe to say if they make another Suicide Squad movie, it's probably going to be starring John Cena. So, and yeah, John Cena is he's of course he's a on and off professional wrestler for the WWE. He's multiple time world champion for that company, and he started off bad at first, but I believe that this right here is his best acting job. Now, for like as far as the show itself, very comical and also very violent. It went some places that their direct competition, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, was not willing to go. Like, look at this ridiculous image right here. I mean, shoot. I mean, he looked like these people looked like they had absolute a lot of fun doing this. Yeah, but it was I will say like more of an R-rated series rather. And the advantage that the DC Extended Universe has, especially with the Suicide Squad and Suicide Squad characters, like I said, they'll go places that the MCU is not willing to go. Now, yeah, this started out with John Cena's character Peacemaker, Christopher Smith, surprisingly surviving the end of the Suicide Squad because I thought for sure he was dead, like the way it went down. But he was able to get out, but he still got the thing planted in his head. So they needed him to be on a mission to take out this little take out these things called butterflies. And what you would discover throughout the season that butterflies were just like an alien race that just took over human bodies. Um, and it sent them on a wild adventure with a team that was like they were actually put on an assignment to be punished for what happened in the Suicide Squad. If you anyone that watched that movie, but I will say one thing about the characters, like John Economos, Hardcore, Mern, Adebayo, like the characters were very well done. Yeah, like Robert, like it featured Robert Patrick. Now, if you don't know who Robert Patrick is, his first appearance was Terminator 2: Judgment Day, but he played Peacemaker's father, Augie, and he was very technically savvy, and he built Peacemaker's helmets, as you were discovered. But just getting into the story itself of who Peacemaker was, they went into why he was the way he was, and his problem largely was his father. But so Donnie, what you got to say?
Yeah, I think they did a great mashup. They brought characters who were not traditionally, father and son together. He made a good mashup But there's so much more that he did with his universe. I mean, he effectively put uh, Amanda Waller into a more humanized position. He gave Amanda Waller a daughter, right? He assembled this task force. Every episode, uh, to my knowledge, he brought up a DCEU superhero, right?
Hmm.
And he had a little slight for him, a little joke. But the last episode we got Green Arrow. So now what I took from that is Green Arrow is confirmed in the DCEU. He's talking shit about that man, which was hilarious. But Green Arrow is confirmed in the DCEU, right?
Yeah.
We had a whole universe that was built and it acknowledged superheroes. There is a uh, so so typically with the superhero movies, when you see them, there's one superhero in the world. And since the advent of Marvel and I guess DC with their Justice League, you had a couple here and there, but it was largely like, oh, these are the superheroes. You never really talked about guys that were at the ground level, right? So when you talked about guys who were at the ground level, you had Suicide Squad, and that was the first thing that kind of brought up these random characters. Like, who are these random people that are kind of at the ground level? And then, uh, this show brought up the actual lives of these people on the ground level when they're not in the Suicide Squad, which was hilarious in my fucking opinion. You had Vigilante, right, and then you had
Oh
a
shit.
nutbag like the White Dragon who was out here fighting crime. And it was funny how they merged the stories because really White Dragon was the white supremacist and they kind of put that on him. But now it makes sense that White Dragon is Spock.
Uh,
But yeah, everything was great. Judo Master, yeah, you got Judo Master there. Go ahead and bust him back. It's fucking
man,
hilarious.
man, Judo Master was hilarious, man. Like Peacemaker, like what is he gonna do? Who's gonna protect? He's 2 feet tall. Like, but it's like the funny part about it, and me and you talked about this earlier. This man always had Cheetos in his possession. Right after the first ass whooping, like he was eating Cheetos after he got injured and then captured, and
Hmm.
then he had Cheetos then. He was at the gas station, had Cheetos. Even in his final scene, that man was eating a Cheeto. Like, wow, what is up with him and Cheetos?
Where was he getting Cheetos from? Is what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just was like you got kidnapped. You held hostage. You just figured out these motherfuckers had Cheetos.
Yeah, man. I mean, but like I said, all these characters were great. It was something to like about every character, even the antagonists, the butterflies. Now, I did have one problem with one scene, and if you haven't figured out by now, this is very spoiler heavy, which we should have announced at the beginning. But if you've been watching, then I'm sorry. One thing when Goff, the butterfly who was designated as Goff because he took over a senator at first, when he took over the
Right.
cop, when he took when oh well, you would discover that that butterfly in particular was a she. When it took over the when she took over the cop, she called like other butterflies, and when they first came down, it looked like it was about 200 or 300 of them. So I didn't believe that it was enough people in that police station to have all those butterflies to take it over. So that was kind of a flub to me. But I mean, oh well. uh,
Well, I looked at it like, because I did think about what you were talking about, and I really thought about it, but I was like, maybe whoever they didn't fill over, they just had to run around and take out people outside of the station. Uh,
yeah.
but what I took from it was they took over the police station in whole.
Oh yeah. So when people call the police in that town, who they gonna call? If for anybody who watched this to the end, I said they have literally no police station right now. But yeah. But the go ahead.
So what did you take from the scene? I'm sure everybody's waiting to get the reaction from the Justice League scene. 'Cause that was the funniest shit. In like at the ending, it was super surprising to me. It was something that I did not expect. But it really tied this movie as canon for certain. But it was fucking hilarious to me.
Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller makes a cameo at the very end, which does tie Peacemaker to the like solidifies it. But yeah, I thought the scene was funny. He said, "I'm so fucking tired of that rumor." He said, he said, "You do fuck bitch, fuck you, Barry." Like, yeah, that was pretty funny, but I thought it was great, man. I'm glad it happened. I mean, shoot, but it's like, what if they were able to actually get the actors and help them with that final battle scene? I don't shoot. It probably well, it wasn't necessary, but the scene was perfect.
No,
I would say.
no. Yeah, that wasn't a fight that was really worthy of the Justice League per se. I mean, the imminent threat, kind of was, but if Peacemaker was to go in and take all them people down, then no, not really. Uh, the reason they were there, was because Waller called them after just at the behestment of her daughter, which I thought was great. It also kind of showed a little bit more of a human side to Waller. She's not just a tough bitch, right? She's always
Yeah,
portrayed. But yeah, just seeing the Justice League come down. You had Wonder Woman there who wasn't there. You had Superman there who wasn't there, and then you had Ezra Miller and uh, uh, Aquaman there, Hawaiian Aquaman. So
yeah,
it was dope to see that tie-in for me.
yeah. And like, oh yeah, Vigilante. Like, I say this in the nicest way. Vigilante was an idiot, but he was he was like, I would say, to call him the comic relief would probably be an I don't know, redundant statement, seeing that the show was basically a comedy. But he pulled it off, man, for real. Like, but what I did like about Vigilante was his loyalty to his friendship with Peacemaker, and that's something that was expressed throughout the entire show. Now, what I would like to see is what consequence it would be for Adebayo, the who was badass in the end, uh, dropping all the shit about her mother, Amanda Waller, and all the unethical stuff that had been going on. Because Amanda Waller, like, she's ruthless, but I don't think she'll do anything to her daughter. But based on Amanda Waller, we will see. But here's the good news for those of you who watched and enjoyed the show Peacemaker itself. It has been renewed for season two. I mean, why would you? And also, what a unique opening! Like, I noticed that everybody, as they was doing their routine, was keeping a straight face. But the opening itself, do you want to taste it? That it definitely set the tone itself for what is to come, like what was to come with the show. So, like Donnie, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate Peacemaker?
Peacemaker was a strong. Actually, Peacemaker. I'm really just sitting down thinking about it, with the exception of no, fuck that. Peacemaker is probably better than every MCU drop that we've had this last year, right? So yeah, Peacemaker's number one in my mind. Nothing to beat that shit. It's adult humor. It's funny superhero activity. So in my mind, that shit's fucking funny, and it's not beatable. Yeah, you had the MCU with WandaVision, and it was phenomenal. It was a great build up to the next season, and then you had Loki, etc. You're not fucking beating Peacemaker. Granted, I don't have anything to look forward to with Peacemaker other than another season of Peacemaker. But even all those MCU shows that came out, not better than Peacemaker,
No, I would agree. I would
in my
agree.
opinion.
I would agree because like it just went places that the MCU aren't willing to go. I mean, the MCU shows like Loki, Hawkeye, they're great shows and they're great storytelling for what's to come. But this is this is what exactly what the DCEU needs, and it gives you hope that they may actually become viable competition for the MCU one day. And I think what they need to do is they need to keep exploiting what they can do versus what they can't do against the juggernaut known as the MCU. But if they keep putting stuff like this, I'll say this, and I've said this about many things: the true winners are the fans. Period. So, okay, so anyway, yeah, so we
Yeah,
can.
that's sorry,
Go.
I'm sneezing over here, but yeah, no, that's real shit. If the MCU is gonna go the route of you know borderline hardcore PG-13, which is as hard as it's gonna be, then that's one thing. But if the DCEU decides to pick up and ride the line of R rating, that's gonna separate the two in a real way and make a huge division. In my opinion, MCU or Marvel has always been a lot more grittier than DC.
Oh yeah.
DC isn't really gritty, with the exception of maybe a certain Batman stories or the Batman family. There's no grit in the DC universe. If DC picks up and runs this line of R rating potential, and they run it on HBO Max, and they have dark ass Batman movies that are just coming through where Batman, like, people are fucking dying and Batman's got to figure it out, and you ride that line. DC is going to be hard to fuck with in terms of these next set of movies,
Okay.
especially while MCU is riding this uh, social justice warrior wave. That's what we'll go with.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it was some small signs of that in this show too, but it wasn't so pronounced like it is in Marvel and what's to come with Marvel, which it could be like that. The first phases of the MCU could be its greatest phases. I mean, Spider-Man: No Way Home, was like the best movie last year, hands down, and possibly in the top three of the MCU. But yeah, if they keep doing this, then they're definitely going to be competition. They might even take over, but that's a long shot. But yeah, but there's always Moon Knight. Moon Knight I think comes out next month, so we'll see what they do with that because it's supposed. Go ahead.
He won't be ready. It'll be tough. It'll be some crazy stuff, but he won't be R rated.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I mean, I think we pretty much done it. I mean, like, great job, people. John Cena. For real, for real. And like, do you have like any favorite character out of any of these guys?
I'm a big fan of Vigilante.
Yeah, Vigilante is hilarious. Like
Right, and
hilarious.
I want to see a backstory of Vigilante where he's learning to be Vigilante, because you don't just pick up and learn kung fu or weapons training or everything. Like, how did you get this? How did you get this far and learn all of this? And you are the bus boy at the local shithole restaurant.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot more to it than that. But seeing the Suicide Squad with Peacemaker and then watching this show, the show really humanized Peacemaker. I mean, he was still pretty much a douche at the end of the day, but he's a good douche. So we'll see with season two. What kind of story they come up with. So I mean, you have anything left, Donnie? Anything else to
No,
say?
I'm all for it. Let's get up out of here.
All right, and this has been our review on Peacemaker. Great show. Looking forward to season two. And for all of you that are watching this and will watch this, you have been pulled into the black dimension. Good luck finding your way out. Till next time.